So Johnny Pittard, say, having had a 10-place grid drop because of that win at Silverstone, he'll be one to watch out for. His is the black car with the gold stripes down the centre of it. But he only came up second best in terms of qualifying because Christian Pittard had the pace this morning, but I don't think we can read hugely into that because the qualifying this morning was bone dry. It's rather greasy out there now, and depending on what they thought the weather conditions might do for this race, might have perhaps dictated as to how hard or soft they're running things like suspension and anti-roll bars on these cars, because if they've plumped for a dry setup, they might struggle at the start of the race. If they've plumped for an intermediate setup, and the other car, of course, is Johnny Pittard, the Silverstone winner, who was second quickest in qualifying, but gets the 10-place grid drop because of that win at Silverstone. Watch out for his progress as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, it just adds another element into the Magnificent 7 series. And if you want to watch brilliant wheel-to-wheel action in this weekend, changeable conditions with little things like grid drops and drivers maybe starting out of position, the Mag 7s is definitely where you need to be.
Going to be Jonathan Edwards. So those are the colours on the first few rows of the grid, and we're about to get the first of two 30-minute races underway here for the Gold Arts Magnificent 7s here at Snetterton. Watch out for Harry Senior from the tail end of the order, tail end of the top 10. Watch out for Jonathan Pittard with his 10-place grid drop as a result of having won last time out at Silverstone. Those will be two cars to keep an eye on the progress in the early stages of what is going to be a damp and a tricky few laps. Here we go, we're about to get things underway, and it is a good start from Christian Pittard, who instantly rockets away from James Tubby. James Tubby a little bit slower away, and Richard Carter is trying to draw himself alongside, but I can see already that Richard Carter is sort of backed out of it and doesn't want to get involved at the first corner when you've got 30 minutes of racing still to go. All the way around the outside goes Pascal Green of Jonathan Edwards, so place picked up there by the number 34 car of Pascal Green, who'll hand the car over to Father Richard a little bit later on. But for Christian Pittard, out front leading the way, James Tubby in second place. It looks as though it's Andrew Grant that's up there into third position. Everybody just feeling their way around, and remember, already making progress is number 81 Johnny Pittard as a result of that 10-place grid drop. And we'll also try and keep an eye on what's going on with Harry Senior and how much progress he might be making at the wheel of his 420R.
And you can see now they're up to racing speed. The rooster tails and the bit of spray just coming out of the back of the cars isn't as much as we thought it initially would be, but a great start from Christian Pittard. We saw a couple of drivers in the mid-pack squirming for grip, and just about there. That was the number 34 of Pascal Green. You just mentioned him heading through Agostini, slightly outbraked himself, maybe a bit of a lockup, but just about kept it out of the grass crucially, and now he can carry on and re-attack.
Yep, so Pascal Green, yeah, a little bit of probably cadence braking there just to stop the fronts locking, and maybe as the race wears on again you have to tweak as to how much brake bias you want towards the front of the car. And past at the wheel of the number 34 car as they head down the Bentley Straight for the first time and in towards the braking area for Brundle and Nelson. For third position, Richard Carter looks as though he's reasserted himself in third place. It was a bit of a poor-ish first few corners from Richard Carter. He gets very sideways though on the gas coming out of Nelson, but he has picked off one place. That is through and ahead of Andrew Grant now at the wheel of the number 68 car, who drops down into fourth.
Yep, so more chopping and changing again. The mid-pack is lots of drivers that were a bit more confident in the wet conditions, that maybe had some slightly better tyre warm-up, but already coming out of the final corner and coming towards the line is Christian Pittard to tick lap number 1 in the book across the line. He will go very shortly, followed by James Tubby, and then is it still Richard Carter in third? Yes, it is. The battle for fourth, however, that is already which Pittard is that that's managed to... Jonathan Pittard, that might have just worked his way up into fourth place, still side by side as they head through turn 1. I've got a feeling Johnny Pittard has just about managed to wrangle fourth place.
Yeah, we thought Johnny Pittard would make progress, so and absolutely he has. So he's carved his way up through the order. 12 places gained from him. The other car I thought might make progress, Harry Senior, didn't gain a single place in that one. Places gained over the course of that lap. So whatever the problems were for that car in qualifying, they are well and truly behind it now. And Stephen James is...
Of the sun, no, he was under pressure there, but he is trying to chase down Jeremy Adams' Pascal Green. You mentioned him earlier on, he should be fairly quick, but I think he's trying to mix attack and defence all at the same time.
Yeah, all of this is just allowing Christian Pittard to rocket away in the lead of the race. He was leading by 2 seconds after just the first lap of racing. Everybody else down in towards Brundle and Nelson at the moment. There's a good little fight going on. He's just ahead of him as over the start-finish line goes Christian Pittard in the lead of the race and sets the fastest lap of the race on the first flying lap, not unsurprising. 2 minutes 27.5 exactly. However, Johnny Pittard a few moments later goes even quicker, 2 minutes 27.235. So the Pittard brothers swapping and changing the fastest lap of the race in the early stages of this one. Now, and 10th position, whilst our race leader is already down in towards Brundle and Nelson on the third lap of the race. Christian Pittard leading the way at this stage. 2 minutes 27.5 exactly from him last time through. Now, James Tubby was in second place as they came over the start-finish line, but is he still going to be in second, or has Johnny Pittard been able to pick him off on this lap? No, Johnny Pittard, I think, has gone through. So I think it will be, yeah, Johnny Pittard is indeed through and up into second position, which means that James Tubby drops down into third and has got Richard Green not that far behind him either, whilst that squabble I was talking about between Pascal Green and the number 71 car, Jonathan Constable, works its way through Brundle and Nelson. Jonathan Constable gets a better drive coming out of Nelson and is almost side by side as they go round through the bomb hole. Pascal Green gets a bit of a wiggle on the exit of the corner. Now, another new fastest lap of the race last time through for Johnny Pittard, 2 minutes 25.099 for him that time through. That was 2.5 seconds quicker than Christian Pittard managed in the lead of the race. So the lead advantage was down to just less than 3.9 seconds last time through the pit lane area. I'm assuming this is usually a 30-minute race does have a pit window after 10 minutes, but it hasn't flashed up on screen the pit window is open as yet, which has got me scratching my head as to whether this is a race where they would, yeah, there's a column where they've pitted, but usually it flashes up to say the window is open, and it's not saying that. So I do wonder, is it a pit stop race? It's got to be, because another new fastest lap of the race last time through. Again, it comes from Johnny Pittard, 2 minutes 24.110. That was only just a shade quicker than Christian Pittard managed that time through. So the gap does come down, but it only comes down by 1/10 of a second on that occasion. Up towards Agostini, we've got another good little fight as well. That looked as though that was Pascal Green who was closing in on David White's car. So those two will be fighting for 11th and 12th place, which means that David White has gone through and ahead of Pascal Green since they came over the start-finish line last time through. Another new fastest lap of the race to our race leader as well, Christian Pittard, which a split second later was bettered by Johnny Pittard. So Johnny Pittard now 2 minutes 21.229. The lead advantage came down by 1.9 seconds to exactly 1.9 seconds that time through. So we could have a battle for the lead of the race maybe in another lap or so's time. So the black car with the gold flashes, number 81, Johnny Pittard, closing in on Christian. The two siblings will be rolling their sleeves up and slugging it out, I would have thought, before a great deal longer. Onto the grass, on the exit of Brundle and Nelson, and he'll get going once more. But for the lead of the race, Christian Pittard still leads the way, but look in his mirrors, Johnny Pittard is right with him, and Johnny Pittard is going to pick up a toe as they head along the Bentley Straight this time through, so he'll be closing, ever closing on the car ahead as they head down towards the bottom of the Bentley Straight. It's probably a little bit too far back actually this time through to get the toe. Need to be within about a second of it. He was 1.9 seconds adrift as they came over the start-finish line, but I'm not sure he really was quite close enough on the top section of the Bentley Straight. You can see how they are almost steering the car on the power coming out through Brundle and Nelson. A little twitch of oversteer as the driver gets on the gas. Another couple of little twitches mid-corner as you go round through the bomb hole. The tyres on the very edge of adhesion. There's also probably a little bit of traffic just up the road as well that they'll need to deal with before too much longer, which will be Russell Gunter. And Russell Gunter is busy at the moment having his own little squabble with, I think that might be Tim Harbour possibly, that's just ahead of him. We'll have to wait and see, but they're about to be gobbled up by the race leaders as they come over the start-finish line. Now it's Sean Cronin is the car that he's doing battle with, so Sean Cronin moves out of harm's way. He doesn't want to get involved. Russell Gunter sees them coming, or does he? No, comes straight across the nose of Christian Pittard heading in towards Ritchie's corner. That delays Christian Pittard. Johnny Pittard got delayed slightly as well, which now means the pair of them with 10 minutes to go are absolutely together heading into towards the braking area for the Wilson hairpin. So over the slight crest, downhill to Wilson, slightly uphill on the straight that brings you very slightly downhill again in towards Palmer. and the squabble is on for the lead of the race. Now Johnny Pittard looking as though he might try and get the overlap here on Christian Pittard as they head down the straight and up towards the braking area for Agostini. He's got the inside line, but he's not quite brave enough. He blends out of the throttle that little bit earlier, takes a big wide sweep into Agostini to try and triangulate the exit of it and get a better drive coming off the corner. There's more traffic just up the road to deal with, so Christian Pittard has got his hands full. He's not quite going to be able to sneak through and ahead of Alex Harbour before Hamilton, so he will try and do it on the run in towards Oggies. Alex Harbour stays out of the way. Christian Pittard sneaks his way through, but of course he's on the usual racing line, which is not really what you want to take in the wet conditions. You want the less polished surface, and Johnny Pittard is now fully in the slipstream. I think there was a bit of a gesticulation there from Johnny Pittard, suggesting that no, let's just work together, let's enjoy it for a few minutes, and we can roll our sleeves up and have the proper battle in maybe 5 or 10 minutes time. So down the Bentley straight they'll go. Johnny Pittard, without question this time, will be picking up the tow from Christian Pittard that lies ahead, and again there's more traffic that the pair of them will need to deal with as they head through Brundle and then through Nelson. Traffic will want to try and stay out of the way, but they're also busy overtaking each other, some of these back markers. So Charles Holroyd manages to work his way past the car that was indicating over to the left-hand side, and as soon as he gets past that slower car, then instantly he moves out of the way to allow the race leaders to go through. But the order still remains the same. The orange car of Christian Pittard still leading the way. Johnny Pittard is right with him, and now Johnny Pittard's trying all the way around the outside at Caterham to get the inside line as they head in towards Murray's corner, and it worked. The less polished surface all the way around the outside at Caterham. It gave him the grip. He is through and ahead and into the lead of the race. So it's still a Pittard that bleeds, but it's the opposite way round. But on the exit of the corner, so Christian Pittard has more drive in a straight line and is going to rocket his way back through once more. So they've swapped, and they swap back as they head up to Ritchie's on lap number 8.
Yeah, an amazing move by Christian Pittard all the way around the outside. By Johnny Pittard, pardon me, all the way around the outside, and then a big flick of oversteer on the exit of Ritchie's. Just managed to get the moment collected up. Very experienced, so I'm sure he's not used to a bit of oversteer in one of these Caterhams, but manages to continue on and chasing down his brother. After that was, I can't get over that, all the way around the outside, found all the grip on the less polished surface like you said, Mark. We're just waiting to see them reappear as they head in towards Agostini in a few moments' time. Traffic has played a part in this one. It's still Christian Pittard leading Johnny Pittard, but there's nothing to pick between the pair of them. Into Agostini they will go, and they're just doing what they can to work their way through traffic as a pair. They have done that. They've negotiated the traffic, and they leave that section of the circuit exactly how they entered, a quick flick left through Hamilton. And it's still Christian Pittard just about in the lead of the race, but Johnny Pittard is well and truly there. Before they get to the Bentley straight, there's not really much that Johnny Pittard can do, when we've seen Christian is much quicker in a straight line.
So Christian with the 2.5 litre normally aspirated car. Johnny Pittard is similar engine capacity. It is supercharged. I mean, again, he's trying around the outside at Williams, but it was getting quite marginal, the gap there, the amount of daylight between the edge of the circuit and Christian Pittard's car. So I think he had to get off the gas a little bit there. Otherwise, he had a reasonably good run. He's sitting in the slipstream now. He's just, I think, a little bit too far back as they head down in towards Brundle and Nelson. So it's still Christian Pittard ahead of Johnny Pittard. Again, let's just have a look, see whether we get that sort of oversteer on the way out of the corner. Yes, we do, as Johnny Pittard tries to plant his foot into the floor, but the tail end of the Caterham just tells him that you're on the very limit. There's another mid-corner wiggle again from the second place car as they head round through the bomb hole and in towards the braking area for what will be Murray's shortly. And again, Johnny Pittard's trying all the way around the outside at Caterham to get the inside line for Murray's, as he did on the previous lap. He's got the job done. Can he get the car turned in at Murray's and get the good exit off the corner, which he didn't manage last time? He's not quite as quick coming off the exit of the corner, which means that Christian Pittard gets the run, and the two of them again are going to be side by side over the start-finish line whilst they squeeze their way through and past David White as a back marker as well. That was close, but it looks as though this time Johnny Pittard is still going to hang on to it, or is he? No, Christian's all the way around the outside at Ritchie's corner, and Johnny Pittard finally gets his nose ahead by the time they get to the exit of the corner. Has he got enough momentum though as they headed towards the braking area for Wilson? Yes, he has. He finally has picked up the lead of the race, but then takes a big wide sweep around Wilson and still just about has enough momentum to hang on to the place.
Yeah, great battle to watch for the lead, and we've still got 5 minutes and 40 seconds of the race remaining, and if everything stayed as it was until the end of the race, Christian Pittard was just quick enough out of the final corner at Murray's to cross the line in the lead. If that were the final lap, there was 62 thousandths between the pair of them, as they were 3 wide when they crossed the start-finish line. We're not doing, not really worried about the oversteer as much as Christian Pittard. He seems like he's having a bit of a moment, or is Johnny Pittard, pardon me. He's wiggling around, but it looks like he's finally managed to get it tamed. You see the helmet bobbing away as he's desperately trying to find some traction, but for the moment that lead seems somewhat safe.
That is such a shame for the driver that didn't set a time in qualifying, carved his way through the order, and is now dropping back down like a stone. But the race leaders are still together as they come up about to start lap number 10.
Yeah, but this time Johnny Pittard didn't have to go all the way around the outside to get the position made, and he's got a good enough run and a decent enough amount of daylight between himself and Christian behind. Johnny Pittard that time through fastest lap of the race, a 2 minute 20.249. Now he's in clean air. That's somewhat 7/10ths quicker than Christian behind, and Christian himself set a personal fastest lap. You can tell the track is drying and the conditions are more favourable, because up and down the order mark they're setting personal fastest laps, so we could see yet more battles slowly start to introduce themselves in the closing stages of the race. Once again, Johnny Pittard very wide around the Wilson hairpin, but it means he can fire the car off the corner because of all the grip on the unpolished surface, and it means that he can just about retain that lead.
Yeah, most of them are setting faster laps than they've done before as the conditions improve, but amazingly they are still, the front runners, 25 seconds slower than qualifying, so it just goes to show how conditions out there are still rather greasy, to say the least. So Johnny Pittard heads out of Agostini. Another huge wiggle on the race leading car coming out of Agostini. There's more traffic up the road that they need to deal with. I think that's going to be Andy Yeomans, is it, that is going to want to try and stay out of harm's way. Yep, so one passes one's way, one passes the other. Andy Yeomans is now placed a lap down by the race leaders. With 2.5 minutes to go, they'll be on their penultimate lap of the race at the moment. James Tubby is a long way adrift in 3rd place. Number 43 car is in 3rd place. If you're watching the stream, car number 777, Jonathan Edwards, is outside of the top 10 at the moment, so he started 7th. He's rather dropped down through the order, down into 11th position. But for the battle for the lead of the race, Christian Pittard gets a good run on Johnny Pittard this time, heading down the Bentley Straight. He's got the inside line when he gets towards Brundle and Nelson, and he's slipstreamed his way back through to the lead of the race. So it's Christian Pittard that leads, Johnny Pittard back down into 2nd again for the moment, but a better run coming out of Nelson means that Johnny Pittard has the inside line for the bomb hole. They go wheel to wheel through the bomb hole, almost leaning on each other, but finally it's Christian Pittard that retakes the lead of the race. The orange car number 51 is leading the way.
Yeah, but absolutely nothing between them once again. Johnny Pittard's favourite move all the way around the outside. You can see the car wiggling, struggling to find the traction. Nothing between the pair of them. Around the outside of Christian Pittard goes Johnny through the final corner. A little bit of traffic is going to be difficult to negotiate that, but it looks like Johnny Pittard managed to work his way through and passed without too much of an issue. But then Christian Pittard slightly quicker. Orange machine will be able to tow up to the tail end, and he throws the car over to the inside for Ritchie's. Can he get the car slowed down and remain on the inside? Just about. Johnny Pittard still on the outside, still side by side, lap after lap. A massive flick of oversteer from Johnny Pittard. It's great to see that they can race this close on the very limit of grip in changeable conditions. Once again, the much wider line from Johnny Pittard through the Wilson hairpin puts him back into the lead, having Christian been in the lead for what, an entire 5 seconds.
Yeah, brilliant stuff between this pair, and it's not done and dusted yet, because we've still got another 3/4 of a lap of this as they head up towards Agostini for the final time. Brilliant racing and good respect, you know, wheel to wheel stuff through the bomb hole and Coram. You've got to trust the driver alongside you, and why would you not trust a fellow family member? Christian Pittard leads the way, Johnny Pittard in 2nd place. There's more traffic just up the road that they're certainly going to have to meet before the end of the lap. Up towards Hamilton they will go. Christian Pittard just has his nose ahead as they pitch their way in towards the left-hander, then onto the brakes on this ever-drying circuit as well as they go through Oggies for the final time. Now, we know Christian Pittard is remarkably quick in a straight line. Johnny Pittard, though, is going to have the advantage of the tow this time as they head onto the Bentley Straight, and they're going to meet the traffic on the straight as well, which aids both of them.
Yes, it does indeed, and this is going to be a run to the line, I think, Mark, because we know Johnny Pittard is very, very quick through the final couple of corners, but we know Christian Pittard is much quicker on the run to the line as well, so there's lots of different things the drivers need to be made aware of, and of course they've got the traffic to try and negotiate. In towards Brundle and Nelson goes Christian Pittard in the lead of the race. Johnny Pittard not quite as close as we've seen him, and unless it is flat out all the way around the outside and a great run out of the final corner, I've got a feeling this will go the way of Christian Pittard, but there's still traffic to negotiate, which Christian does, and then Johnny Pittard manages to work his way through and past. But in towards the final corner for the final time goes Christian Pittard, leading Johnny Pittard, and for the moment it's looking like the race is going to go Christian's way, Mark.
Yeah, because we know he's got the extra grunt on the run to the line and gets his foot down, gets a clean exit off the corner, and the amount of daylight is just growing. But of course Johnny Pittard will sit in the slipstream, but he's not quite going to have enough in hand as they get towards the checkered flag. Christian Pittard claims the win, and on the very last lap sets the fastest lap of the race, 2 minutes 19.195. Johnny Pittard finishes in second place. Remember, he started 10 places further back than he qualified, so it was a good race from Johnny Pittard. A long gap before we await the arrival of the third place car. Only now over the start finish line will come James Tubby, who finishes in third place. Richard Carter in the lime green car will finish in fourth position. That's for you then for our first Gold Arts Magnificent Sevens race. Christian Pittard claims the win by just 0.2 of a second from Johnny Pittard, and James Tubby was there in third place. Richard Carter, Andrew Grant and Stephen James complete the top six, with Harry Senior in seventh, Jeremy Adams in eighth place, Robert Forsdyke and Jonathan Edwards ninth and 10th respectively. So let's hand you downstairs to Jack, who's going to chat to the top three.
Yeah, so I'm here with Christian Pittard, who is just chatting away with brother Johnny. Christian, that was a busy old race, fighting really hard with Johnny. We saw you trading places constantly. You slightly faster on the straights, Johnny slightly quicker in the corners. How was that from your perspective?
Brilliant, really, really good fun. Loved it, loved every minute. I thought this was going to be quite a dull race, so I was taking it quite gently, and then I couldn't believe that he'd come up from 16th on the grid. I did a double take and I saw his crash helmet, and I thought, here we go, this is going to be fun. And then lap after that, I didn't want it to end. I would have happily carried on. It was brilliant, really cool. Really clean, amazing racing. So I've been racing since 2012, and we've been racing together, but we've not had as good a race as that in over 10 years. So thank you, Snetterton, and thank you, Rain. That was amazing. Love it. So I can't wait for the second race.
Great stuff. It was great to watch, and congratulations on the fastest lap. You said it on the fastest lap of the on the final lap of the race as well.
Under pressure.
Under pressure, exactly. That's the one. So we'll try and grab a quick word with Johnny Pittard. Johnny, can we grab you for a quick interview? Thank you very much, Johnny. A shake of the hand there from Christian.
The Boss built car winning. Sorry, just being cheeky. Yeah, it was an amazing race. Christian and I waited it seems like a long time to really have an outright race for the win, and to really, you know, dice. I just kept looking for the checkered flag. I kept thinking, surely that's half an hour, surely that's half an hour. I was able to pass him around Coram at every lap, apart from the last one. I just wasn't far enough away, and there was a back marker which just slowed me up a little bit, but it was the closest finish and race. It was huge fun. It's very, very sketchy. I'm amazed that neither of us put it off the track at some point. Came very close a number of times. So it was armfuls of opposite lock, and well, the cars are just incredible. But I have a sneaking suspicion that has a little bit more than mine, which I wasn't counting on, because I've got a supercharger. So we'll have to have a debrief, but hopefully we can have more of the same in race 2, I hope.
Fingers crossed. Great stuff. Congratulations on second place as well, Johnny. So we'll try and grab